My wife was the school beauty back in high school. As for my looks, my mom always said dogs on the street would cry if they saw me. But my wife insisted on marrying me anyway, so I doted on her. But on our sweet wedding night, I suddenly heard my wife's inner voice. So ugly. If it weren't for your money, I wouldn't marry you in a million years. At first, I didn't realize the voice in my head was my fiancée Natalie's true thoughts. I thought I was just hallucinating from working like crazy and pulling all-nighters to take care of company business before the wedding. It wasn't until the wedding day, when I arrived with the groomsmen to pick up my bride and finally held my wife in my arms. Ding! Cuckoo Story reminds you to subscribe to the channel for more videos. I didn't notice the fleeting look of disgust on her face. But the moment I held her, I heard her voice in my head, and it was different than usual. That birthmark is so disgusting. I can't get used to it after all this time. It's so painful. I can't even bring myself to kiss him. Help. Oh well, I'll just have to bear with it for the money. I gently let go of her, and she looked at me with a sweet smile. What's wrong, honey? I was shocked by the voice I had just heard, so shocked that I could barely believe it. Because my fiancée Natalie usually acted like my facial birthmark didn't bother her at all. She said she cared about my gentle heart and my personality. She said that many men might be handsome, but they were also sleazy, and she would never like them. She liked me for who I was. She said she thought I was kind, gentle, and considerate. Even though I had such a large, black birthmark that ran from the corner of my left eye down to below my temple. We were high school classmates. I used to be insecure about this birthmark in high school, and my long bangs hid me from judging and mocking eyes. She was the unattainable school beauty, and we never interacted. By chance, we met on a blind date. She didn't seem to mind my birthmark at all and frequently asked me out to dinner and movies. Outside of work, I'm actually socially awkward. I'm awkward, boring, can't talk well, and I'm not very likable. I'm only good for my money. She's lively, cheerful, and outgoing, the kind of personality that parents love. I originally wanted to prepare everything for the wedding myself, but Natalie said that if I did that, I would have to work and handle the wedding at the same time, and it would be too exhausting. She jokingly said that I just needed to give her my credit card and show up looking handsome on the wedding day, and she would take care of everything else. I did as she said. Now, looking at the decor of the hotel where we were picking her up and overhearing the comments of the guests in the restroom. Is this all the Johnson family could afford for the wedding? Yeah, it's too simple. It's like they didn't want to spend any money on the bride. The bride is so beautiful. The Johnson family is so stingy. Is that how rich people save their money? Hearing this, I was confused. I really wondered where the $5 million I gave her for the wedding preparations had gone. Adding that to the voice I heard in my head, I really didn't know if this person in front of me was sincere with me. What's wrong? You don't seem happy at all. Sitting in the wedding car, Natalie gently took my hand and asked with concern. The moment she touched my hand, I heard her inner voice again. He gets angry over everything. Is my husband always going to be so petty? A man with such a cold and heartless face all the time. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning and stared at her wide-eyed. Then she said, Justin is so much better. Having sex with him last week was so good. Look at the guy next to me. That birthmark is really ugly. I realized my wife was cheating on me. I didn't answer her and subconsciously pulled my hand out of her arm, moved it to the side, and leaned back against the car seat. It seemed I needed to reconsider this wedding. As the wedding car drove towards the hotel, I was already imagining everything that could happen. I could imagine that what was about to happen would definitely become a trending topics tomorrow. I composed myself and put on a fake smile. There were a lot of people here today. Most of my side were business partners, and the rest were Natalie's friends and family. Her relatives filled the banquet hall. The place was full of kids screaming and running around. The bride went to change her clothes. Theoretically, I should be standing outside the banquet hall greeting guests, but I wasn't. I called my secretary Leo. Then I went to rest in a small room next to the banquet hall. The groom was nowhere to be found, and the whole hotel was looking for me. And Natalie was still clueless. I have to say, Natalie really knew how to read my mind. She immediately sensed that something was wrong with me and even sent me messages while she was changing into her wedding dress. "Baby, what's wrong? I just saw Leo come over. Is something wrong with the company?" I sneered. "Nothing's wrong. I just told him to cancel the prenuptial agreement. I'm not going through with this wedding." Before this, I had asked Leo to find a lawyer to draft a prenuptial agreement because of my mom's relationship with my dad's family. I knew that women faced many injustices in marriage. So, I wanted to use the agreement to give Natalie a sense of security. The law is more binding than morals. I was willing to give 50% of my premarital assets to my wife, and any property acquired during the marriage, she would get half of all my assets even after the marriage ended. I had originally planned to have it signed and sealed today in front of a lawyer and God as a surprise for her. I remember when I made this decision, Leo was shocked and said that I loved Natalie too much. After all, in the world of us wealthy people, premarital property has nothing to do with the wife. I even said at the time that I was willing to go against my nature, disobey my instincts, and restrain my selfishness and greed for her. It turned out I was just moved by my own actions. I loosened my tie and took the makeup remover wipe that Leo handed me. Today, in order not to embarrass Natalie, I had dealt with company affairs while sitting at the table for 2 hours, enduring the discomfort of the makeup artist applying a thick layer of concealer on my birthmark. I originally thought that if I couldn't see it, it wouldn't matter. Now I know that the things branded in people's hearts are the hardest to cover up. Before I could finish wiping the makeup off my face, the door to the was kicked open. Natalie and her family rushed in, especially her aunt. "Johnson, the MC just said the wedding was canceled." "What does that mean?" I couldn't avoid her. Her aunt rushed over and grabbed my sleeve. I could even hear her sharp, high-pitched inner voice. "Oh my God, Natalie promised to let our family live in a big villa. Is that going to fall through?" Hearing her say that, I remembered that Natalie had mentioned that she wanted her aunt to move in with us if she got pregnant because her aunt had experience raising 3 grandsons. So, she wanted to take over my house. I wanted to break free from her foul-smelling hand, but then I wouldn't be able to hear her thoughts. While I was hesitating, Leo had already helped me create some distance between us. Natalie's family chattered away, each giving their opinion, and I couldn't find a chance to interrupt. At this moment, Natalie arrived. She was wearing the wedding dress that I had carefully selected and had a famous designer design, and she asked me with teary eyes, "Johnson, do you not want me anymore?" But her inner voice at this moment was, "I've put up with you for so many years. I'm about to get my hands on half of your property. There's no way I'll let you run away." By this time, the security guards that Leo had called had separated me from her family. Natalie's aunt comforted her. "Natalie, don't be afraid. Our family may not have money, but we won't let anyone bully you." "That's right. So, what if he's rich?" Her aunt's 3 sons started yelling at me. Natalie didn't say anything. She just kept crying on her aunt's shoulder. She really was a goddess. She was even pitiful when she cried. Seeing that the male elders were about to rush in, I resisted the urge and signaled Leo to hand Natalie a suit jacket. But this action made Natalie misunderstand. A smile appeared on her face. "You still love me, right? But why did you announce that the wedding was canceled? Do you know how much I'm losing? Can I say that I read your mind? I can't. Can I say that I know you cheated on me? I can't. No one would believe me, and I didn't have any evidence." Out of respect for the 2 years we had been together, I shook my head coldly. "In short, this wedding can't happen." "Great." Her aunt shouted first. "I think you're a cheater. Do you have someone else? You don't want to be responsible for our Natalie." I saw Natalie looking at her aunt in horror, as if she was going to cover her mouth, but soon, a sentence that shocked everyone present came out of her mouth. "Natalie is already pregnant with your child." Hearing this, my wife's adultery was completely confirmed. The aunt slapped Natalie's hand away. "Natalie, don't be afraid. Your aunt is here. We must get an explanation for you today. Natalie anxiously grabbed her. And, don't say it, don't say it. After all, we had been dating for 2 years. Because I cherished her, I had restrained myself, and I hadn't slept with her. The only time was when I woke up next to her after getting drunk once. This made her relatives behind her think that she had been wronged and that I was not taking responsibility after she had a child. Fortunately, the security guards protected me and I was not hurt. But I had really had enough. I picked up the water glass on the table behind me and smashed it hard against the glass. Everyone shut up. In an instant, the whole place was silent. Today's anger was resolved by the shattered glass. I clenched my fists and glared at her. Natalie, how did you get the child in your belly? How come I don't know? I raised my eyelids and looked coldly at her stomach. Are you sure the child is mine? After saying this, I took advantage of the opportunity while Natalie was surrounded by her relatives and slipped out of the small room, escorted by the security guards. It wasn't until I was sitting in the car in the underground garage that I let my guard down. Leo sat in the driver's seat, waiting for my instructions without saying a word. I ordered him to drive to my house. When I got home, I didn't want to get out of the car for a moment. Coming here was always a torment. Johnson, seeing that I hadn't moved for a long time, Leo couldn't help but call out to me. I got up and prepared to open the door. Suddenly, I remembered something. I reached over the driver's seat and put my hand on Leo's shoulder. In an instant, I also heard his inner voice. Why won't the boss let me off work? I miss my wife so much. I want to kiss her and hug her. The workload today was too heavy. Those aunties were so crazy. I wouldn't have been able to see my wife without the security guards. I paused. The assistant, who seemed cold and ruthless, was actually so passionate inside. What's wrong, Johnson? Leo turned his head in confusion and looked at my hand on his shoulder. It's nothing. You can go home now. He nodded lightly. He stepped on the gas and left as soon as I got out of the car. Fortunately, there were still people I could trust around me. I straightened my clothes and stepped into the house with a serious face. Every time I came home, I felt heavy because the only person in the Johnson family who truly cared about me was the woman in front of me whose body was full of tubes. She was my mom. I took the towel from the nanny and gently wiped my mom's hands and face. As I wiped, I told my mom about what happened today, and I started to choke up. Before my mom had the accident, she was most worried about me. She was always worried about the birthmark on my face and worried that I wouldn't be able to find a wife because of it. I always told her that as long as I was good enough, I wouldn't have to worry about finding someone to spend my life with. Now that I thought about it, I told her last night that I had found someone to spend my life with and that she didn't mind my birthmark. I was such an idiot. I raised my hand to wipe away my tears and massaged my mom's stiff hands and feet from lying down for so long. There was a cough behind me. I didn't turn around and continued to take care of my mom. Ahem. Boy, don't you know I'm here? After he finished speaking, there was the sound of a cane hitting the ground. I replied lightly, what is it? I told you a long time ago that you shouldn't marry this Natalie, but you insisted on marrying her. Now look, you've embarrassed yourself in front of the whole town. You called off the wedding on the wedding day. Reporters are calling me nonstop. You've never given me a moment's peace since you were a kid. Just like your mom, Dad. Before he could finish speaking, I immediately interrupted him, frowned, and said to him in a cold voice, I advise you to swallow that sentence. He probably realized that he had said the wrong thing and touched his nose uncomfortably. In short, you must listen to me this time. I don't care why you called off the wedding. But the girls I introduced to you are at least kind. Children who have grown up receiving a good education since childhood won't be like Natalie. Listening to his commanding words, I was disgusted but couldn't refute them. At least Natalie really was someone I misjudged. Seeing that I didn't say anything for a long time, he raised his cane and subconsciously wanted to hit me on the back. I dodged it very quickly. Seeing that he almost lost his balance and fell, I wanted to catch him but stopped myself. I mocked, what? Do you want to hit me again? You. He raised his cane and pointed at me. Do you have to make me angry every day? Wasn't it because you were out messing around and ruining the family's reputation that I hit you before? I rolled my eyes and snorted coldly. You and I know who did those things. How many times have I taken the blame for Lucy's 2 sons over the years? The old man was so angry that he glared at me. You. If you didn't do those things, how could they frame you? Then he started to nag again. I was so sleepy that I was nodding off. My mom was my dad's marriage partner. After my mom had an accident and became a vegetable, my dad married Lucy the following month. In the 3rd month, Lucy had a child. Before long, she had a second one. They were all boys. Although they were 2 or 3 years younger than me, they started getting into trouble from the age they could be held criminally responsible. Every time something happened, they made me take the blame for them. I couldn't defend myself at the time. My dad didn't like me in the first place. After beating me up, I ran away from home in a fit of anger. It wasn't until he had health problems that he had no choice but to call me back. He wanted me to take over the Johnson family, this rotten family. After I proposed all sorts of unbelievable conditions, my dad still agreed to them. I knew his illness was probably incurable. I nodded to show that I agreed to take over the Johnson family, and Lucy's face looked like she had been dead for hundreds of years. Dad, have you said enough? Is it because I've made the Johnson group too big that you've forgotten how you begged me before? I stood up and looked down at this man who was now much shorter than me. He looked at me in shock and anger. Before he could scold me, he spat out a mouthful of blood. I panicked and clumsily caught his falling body and told the nanny to call the doctor. I heard his inner voice. I can't hold on any longer. This body can't hold on any longer. I still wanted to see Johnson get married. What a pity, what a pity. I regretted slapping him right away, but I couldn't bring myself to apologize. A good father and son, they argue every time they meet. What a pity, it's too late. After learning that my dad had collapsed, Lucy rushed back from the beauty salon, wailing like a banshee. She ignored me as she cried and went straight to my dad on the bed. The moment she brushed past me, I heard her inner voice for a moment. Damn thing, why is he back again? I raised the corner of my mouth. This stepmother was as bad as ever. You've made your dad angry since you were a child, and now you've made him vomit blood. You're such a jinx. Here she goes again. Every time her own sons got into trouble, she always blamed me. My dad would hit me, and she would pretend to be a kind mother and try to dissuade my dad, but the more she tried to dissuade him, the harder my dad would hit me. When he hit me hard, my dad would hang me directly from the tree in the yard. If I didn't admit my mistake, he wouldn't let me eat. Later, when I grew up, I realized how vicious she was. Seeing her like this, I felt upset and didn't want to stay here any longer. At this time, I learned from the doctor that my dad was just too angry. Fortunately, the doctor didn't live far from my house, and he was rescued in time and was temporarily out of danger. He should go to the hospital for a full body checkup after dawn. He should rest well for the night now. I didn't want to watch her act for me, so I turned around and left home. After I left home, I wandered aimlessly outside all night. At dawn, my phone suddenly rang. It was a call from the hospital saying that my dad's condition had worsened and that he had fallen into a deep coma and was in critical condition. I didn't care about being tired from the night and rushed to the hospital immediately. When I got to the hospital, my stepmother Lucy and her 2 sons were guarding outside the ward. Lucy's eyes were red and swollen from crying. When she saw me, she rushed up and accused me. It's all your fault. You made your dad so angry. What are we going to do now? If anything happens to him, I'm not going to let you get away with it. Her 2 sons were also glaring at me. I didn't bother to pay attention to them and walked straight to the door of the ward. I looked at my dad, who was unconscious in the bed, through the glass. In the doctor's office, the doctor explained my dad's condition in detail. It wasn't optimistic. Even if he could wake up, he might have serious after effects. I knew that the burden of the family was now entirely on my shoulders, but my dad's last words before he collapsed made me feel angry and sorry for him at the same time. After dealing with the matters at the hospital, I returned to the workplace. The news about me calling off the wedding on the wedding day had spread like wildfire in the company. I tried to pull myself together and called an emergency meeting. But at this moment, Natalie came to the company with her family, wanting to make trouble for me. Her aunt started to go crazy as soon as she saw me. "You can't just let this go. Our Natalie is pregnant with your child. You must be responsible." I looked at them, my heart full of disgust. "The matter of the child will be clear after a paternity test. If it's really mine, I'll be responsible, but if it's not, you better not bother me again." Natalie's eyes darted around when she heard this. Her family was making a lot of noise in the company, seriously affecting the normal operation of the company. I called the security guards and had them forcibly removed. Looking at their departing backs, I knew that this matter was far from over. In the days that followed, I was busy with company affairs and had to take time to visit my father in the hospital. Lucy and her sons were also restless in the hospital, always making unreasonable demands, wanting to get more benefits from me. On the way to the hospital one day, I accidentally met Leo and his wife. They were holding hands, their faces full of happy smiles. When he saw me, Leo greeted me a little shyly. I suddenly realized that there were such warm people around me. From then on, I trusted Leo even more and left some important matters to him. With my efforts, the company gradually stabilized. As for Natalie, the results of the paternity test came out. The child was not mine at all. After learning the results, she left with her family and never appeared in my life again. My father finally woke up after being in a coma for a month. But his consciousness was still clear. Looking at his weak appearance, the relationship between our father and son had undergone a subtle change. He no longer lost his temper at me like before, and I was no longer full of hostility towards him.